Welcome to another video. This one will be probably a short one, 20 minutes maybe. And I'm making this video. I had Messenger, the video call, conference call, or whatever the hell it is. But I had one of those yesterday with Emily and one with Sada, and both of those brothers have been in the house with me here in the brother's house and had both have had a powerful download and been activated. So that activation is something that can't be comprehended by ego, can't be comprehended by the conceptual mind, and there's always going to be this coming to terms with the letting go of trying to comprehend what's going on. But at the same time, you're in this process of reevaluating your decision-making process. I think I said process then twice. So there's this ongoing necessity to have to continue to make decisions about where I think I find myself, what seems to be going on, etc., recognizing in here that, of course, none of this is so. It's all an illusion. It's all a dream. But having to make those decisions anyway. Now, Jesus says in the Course to make those decisions with another brother, and they become so powerful because you're uniting, and that idea of uniting or unifying in decision making literally becomes the will of God, which is what joining is. Well, I'm joining in a single decision. The decision that I'm joining with my brother to make has a higher purpose than I'm aware of in my own capacity. And you can really test that out when you think you know what's going on in a certain situation, and you're feeling quite comfortable about whatever decisions you might be called upon to make in that situation. And then you go to another brother who's in this with you, or who's you wouldn't go to someone who you thought was an idiot, but someone who you thought was their opinions could be respected, etc. And you would quite often be surprised at what would turn up, in that another point of view might put into your equation something you'd never thought of before. So in both situations with Emily and Sada, and I won't give you the specifics, it's it's anonymous in that regard, but one, I was specifically told this is going on, that's going on, and the other one I perceived that there was something going on, which I think that the person who was telling me has no idea that there's something going on. And remember, ultimately, nothing going on, just waking up from a dream. So, and then I just went to put my phone on to play music in my studio for the day, and someone I've recently found, an Irish girl who teaches, she doesn't teach A Course in Miracles, she teaches singularity from a whole different thing, which is always interesting to me. I like to hear how people are expressing this. But and her presentation today was on self-sabotage, which basically is I don't perceive my own best interests. So I thought I'd read the lesson 24, I don't perceive my own best interests, because that's always the case. And what happens is when I, finger on my nose, when I think I know something, I'm closing the door on allowing something else to come in that might show me that perhaps I'm wrong about that, or maybe there's another thing I hadn't considered about that, or maybe there's something happening in this situation that I'm unaware of, all these sorts of things. Really, you could look at it as critical thinking, but in the willingness to join with another brother, that's what salvation is. So I would always encourage anyone that's like, well, if you're uncertain about any situation, reach out to me or reach out to another brother or someone who you feel you can trust with whatever's going on, and let's just sort of back and forth about it until we can reach this common decision, or we can just simply sit and listen together until we're given a clear direction. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter how the decision comes through. It's always going to be by the grace of God, because everything is, especially and more importantly in the idea of joining, because you're being encouraged to join, you're being encouraged to step out of that self-reliant, self-concept, self-identity sort of thing and include in the whole, which may look like simply one other brother. Lesson 24, I do not perceive my own best interests. And the first line in this is just, in no situation which arises, in no situation, not some, in no situation which arises, do you realize the outcome that would make you happy? Basically, I'm fucked. Therefore, you have no guide to appropriate action and no way of judging the results. What you do is determined by your perception of the situation, and that perception is wrong. He's telling you it's wrong. It's not sometimes wrong, it's wrong. Right? In no situation do I realize that arises, do I realize the outcome that would make me happy, and I'm always going to be wrong. Thank God for that. This is Jesus just plain speaking, just how it is. You're going to be wrong. What you do is determined by your perception of the situation, and that perception is wrong. It is inevitable then that you will not serve your own best interests. Inevitable, not just perhaps, inevitable. Yet they are your only goal in any situation which is correctly perceived. Otherwise, you will not recognize what they are. If you realize that you do not perceive your own best interests, you could be taught what they are. Open-minded, hello. But in the presence of your conviction that you do know what they are, you cannot learn. The idea for today is a step toward opening your mind so that learning can begin. The exercises for today require much more honesty than you are accustomed to using. A few subjects honestly and carefully considered in each of the 5 practice periods which should be undertaken today will be more helpful than a more cursory examination of a larger number. 2 minutes are suggested, blah, blah, blah. And you just apply the lesson, right? You basically just apply the lesson as it's given to any situation that seems to be unresolved, seems to be on your mind, seems to be being presented to you. And that's it, right? You don't look for an immediate result in the lesson. If one comes along, so be it, fantastic. But what you're attempting to do is to train your mind to understand that it doesn't understand. Right now, if the world is just an illusion, just a dream, what are you trying to understand in a dream? Right? What are you trying to tell yourself or convince? And a lot of this goes on behind the curtain, behind, in the subliminal consciousness. And it's like, well, I'm telling myself I can trust these people and that person and this situation is how I see it and there. And then, of course, later on down the track, you realise somebody's not the way you thought they were, or something hasn't happened how you thought it was going to happen, or some promise made hasn't been fulfilled, blah, blah, blah. And the rug gets pulled out from under your feet and you ask yourself, well, why did this happen? I'm supposed to be in a spiritual process here. Aren't I supposed to be supported? Yes, exactly. You are supposed to be supported. And seen rightly, the support of having the rug pulled out from under your feet, although that's not what you really want. You want to be able to stand on your own 2 feet as a child of God. But it's showing you that there's a weakness, showing you that there is something that you're perceiving that isn't the way that it actually is. Right? Ego is very good at that. Very good at telling you that, oh, this person's situation or event contains your own best interests in this way, that way, and the other way, when in fact, that whole person, situation, event, the only thing that it's teaching you is to confront your fear of giving your whole yes to it and allowing yourself to see where it is that you've invested something that you're in denial of. It's very easy to live on the surface and see, oh, this is all lovely, aren't we all spiritual and wonderful? It's like, no, we're not. Even Jesus goes, fuck off, Satan, get behind me, Satan. Like, he's not just coasting along and accepting things exactly as they are. He's thinking critically, or he's being aware critically that things specifically are not how he thinks they are, or are not how they're being presented. He's in charge. He has one thing going on, and he's representing that in every situation. And as I left a message for Emily this morning, but I said, when I'm in a conversation with somebody, and people write to me all the time, leave me little voice clips and things, but I'll listen to the voice clip, and it's just meh, 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 and then bing, there's one little ripple, right? There's a little ripple. That's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for that ripple, and I allow that ripple to harmonize, right? The whole world is meh, 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 meh. I allow that ripple to harmonize in my mind and expand out, and then it hits the limit of consciousness. And this is not a great way to explain it, but it's the only way I know how to, and it comes back in with information about the limit of consciousness. Tells me what's going on. Trying to hold your mind in that place where you're listening for that ripple, listening for that echo, that kind of sense of things, that takes a bit of mind training. So not a lot, but a bit. So I do not perceive my own best interest. It's a powerful lesson. Self-sabotage, the modern concept of why am I doing this to myself, which is, by the way, the secret of salvation. The secret of salvation is, I'm doing this to myself. It's funny when you can laugh at that, when you can hear that and understand, everything that happens to me, I'm doing it to myself. And you can see that unwanted attention or unsolicited, whatever it is, like, it's not unwanted, it's not unsolicited. It's like somewhere there's an ambiguity in the mind that allows for this kind of wishy-washy acceptance of things and tolerance of things, where in fact at some point you need to actually step up and say, fuck off, Satan, get behind me, Satan, in modern words perhaps, but it's the same sentiment. There has to be a 100% unequivocal decision made, powerful decision, where you mean what you say, right? Otherwise, if the repetition of things keeps occurring, you can see that obviously if I say no to someone, or if I have to change something and it doesn't change, or that person doesn't understand my no, I wasn't coming from my total place, right? Now, a total place is a singular place. God is total. The power of God within me is total. If I say no, I mean it. If I say yes, I mean it. I don't have a yes and we'll see what happens, or no and we'll see how that goes. It's either yes or no, in or out. And the mind, the wishy-washy mind, conceptual mind, doesn't like that, because it doesn't like dealing in absolutes. But literally, absolutes is how you find peace of mind, either in or out. That's it. And you may want to watch that little bit again. You're training your mind to function as a singularity, along the lines of the singularity in time, as it does in eternity. In eternity, only giving. God only gives, only creating, only ever extending love. On earth, representing love, only giving, only ever extending. Now, what should that giving look like? Jesus tells us in the Course, let your words reflect mercy. Maybe you won't say fuck off. Maybe you'll say, look, this is the end of it, be gone, or whatever. But in every situation, in every environment, work environment, personal environment, whatever, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to represent the totality of your decision making, the total power of your mind, in a situation where you're making a choice for your peace. I'm making a choice for peace of mind here. I'm not making a choice to allow myself the possibility of believing that what I think about a situation might be correct. Right? I'm making an unequivocal choice, and then I'm going to live in the effects of making that choice, which will be perfect. Right? If I don't like the effects of that choice, I can choose again. But you have to be wholehearted about it, whole mind, whole heart. There can't be any kind of, get out the little violin. I don't perceive my own best interest. Fact of the matter. This is not my home. This world is not my home. This is a dream. It's an illusion. I don't belong here. I don't perceive my own best interest here. I fucking hate it here. People killing each other, running around trying to get the better of every situation, believing in scarcity and lack, etc., etc., etc. And in my process, in my journey of healing, I'm healing my reactions to all those things. Jesus says in the Bible, unless a man first hates the world, he cannot follow me. Because you have to see what the world is, what it truly represents, before you can say yes to Jesus, truly. Otherwise, you'll say yes and you'll follow him a little bit of the way, and then something will happen and you'll be like, oh, this part of the world's nice. I'll just stop here for a minute, Jesus. I like these people, this situation, this event. The whole point of A Course in Miracles, the whole point of any spiritual determination is for you to remember the true nature of the divine self. Not to get comfortable in the world, not to have beautiful relationships, holy relationships, all that crap. It's like, get out of that, get past that, get beyond all those concepts and ideas that you're hanging on to, and let something else happen. You have to find yourself in the void, in the nothingness, in the emptiness of life, as an experience in your own psychology that's frankly quite terrifying. And you're being prepared for that. You're being made ready for that experience of going beyond the veil of time and space through the use of the workbook lessons of Our Course in Miracles. And you're getting little snippets, little glimpses into it in every relationship in which you find yourself, where you choose to recognize, I don't perceive my own best interests. I'm going to leave a little gap here. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit show me. I'm going to listen to what my inner sense of things tells me, as far as maybe I need to make a decision with another person, with my brother, with Jesus, like Jesus says, in the absence of another brother, you can ask me to substitute for your ego. Right? But you've got to remember to do the asking. Mind is always active. The way you direct it and use it is up to you. But if you don't do the asking, you find yourself encapsulated within a realm where everything's always speaking for denial, everything's always representing separation. And you've got to be active within that in always choosing for wholeness. Peace.